Hare Krishna. So we are on the seventh chapter, and we discussed last time at length about four types of people who do not surrender to Krishna. So that was like a very big paragraph, and that's why it took us a considerable amount of time. In fact, last week we completed only one verse because it was such a big paragraph. Prabhupada is giving very elaborately how these four types of people, Dushkrutinaha, Mudha, Naradhama, and Maya Aparuta Jnana, they do not surrender to Krishna. So, in fact, many times people say that why you people are saying so strongly, why you speak like this. But this is not our statement, Prabhupada would say. If Krishna is telling, we are just repeating. Krishna is telling like this. And these are the facts. Facts are always, they say, such kadwa hota hai. So, facts may not be always pleasing, but the facts are facts. So, today, we will go to another one now. Now, four types of people today we'll discuss who surrender to Krishna. Okay, please read.
Sushmit Pro.
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम्
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम्
जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुना
जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुना
आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी
आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी
ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा
ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा.
O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Purport: unlike the miscreants, they are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus as Annabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukullena Krishnano Shilanam Bhaktiruttama. EC 19.167. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with pure devotees, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to Lord in material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become, in their distress, devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in the field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God. They come to Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service.
Yeah. So his verse is describing four types of people who surrender to Krishna. Four types of Sukrutinas. Previous verse was telling about four types of Sukrutinas. So Sukrutina means pious people. So Prabhupada is very clearly explaining that although these souls, they are not pure devotees, they are pious. There is a difference between pure devotees and pious people. Many times Raisam also says, in India people are very pious. So there is a difference between piety and spirituality. Piety means the person has good material point of view. He is a good person from a material point of view. And he wants to be happy in material world. That is pious. Whereas impious person means he is bad from material point of view also. So, but then the pious person may not be necessarily spiritual. The spirituality is different than just piety. Because the spiritual person means he is beyond the good and bad of this world. He wants to be with Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna. He wants to go beyond this material world. That is spiritual. So, but still, because these people, they may not be pure devotees, but despite not being pure devotees, they are pious. And the pious people have a little extra advantage that they can accept the process of devotional service sometimes. So, they can be elevated to the devotional service by association of pure devotees. Generally, impious souls, they want to stay away from association of devotees also. Because devotee is always pious. Most of the time. Devotee is pious only, unless until there is an emergency situation like for Arjun. Otherwise, devotee is always pious. But then, always every pious person may not be devotee. You're understanding this difference? Every pious person may not be devotee, but devotee is generally very pious. Because the pious person's goal is to remain in material world only, and that's why he tries to somehow or other make the best adjustments into this material world itself. That is the consciousness of the pious person. Whereas for a devotee, he is more interested in going to spiritual sky, more interested in serving Krishna, to go out of cycle of birth and death. These are the devotees' considerations. These are devotees' priorities. So, but then, if these pious people, they are generally all right to meet or associate with pure devotees also, and they are many times they are inclined to meet with devotees, and then because of that inclination, they agree to sometimes take up devotional service also. They do not deny devotional service because they are by nature, they like this kind of things, what are done in devotional service. So, but then for a pious person also there is a little obstacle. That pious person has to at times, go beyond his conception of piety or morality and take to the spiritual platform. So that is a biggest challenge for a pious person. But nonetheless, anyways, because these people are pious, so they approach Krishna, and if they take the association of devotees seriously and they understand the spiritual concepts very seriously, then they can also be devotees. For example, somebody may be very good in behavior with everyone. Okay. So that means, one sense we can say that suppose he is pious, he is very good in behavior. So now, generally because he is very good in behavior, so when devotees meet him, that time he is good with them also. And because of that, he may agree to associate with devotees and then take up devotional service. So in this way, his piety may, help him to take up to devotional service. But sometimes what happens, some person may be very bad in nature, then he may reject only if devotee comes to his room and says, okay, I want to register you for DY. He'll say, I get lost from here. Like, I'm not interested. Like that. But then, the person who is good in behavior, when he comes in devotional service, he may pick up spiritual life also, but then later on sometimes, his so-called goodness also becomes obstacle, because he expects that I am so good, so everybody must be the way I am, and he cannot see the spiritual factor. So if somebody is little bit here and there in behavior, he cannot tolerate it. And he wants to be, he says, no, for me the piety is more important than spirituality. So good behavior is more important than practicing Krishna consciousness. And this way he may sometimes compromise on Krishna consciousness if he sees somebody is not behaving that good. So in this way, piety has become an obstacle. So that's why when one comes in Krishna consciousness, one has to surpass this pious platform and jump. That's why in Krishna consciousness, one should jump from the platform of piety or goodness into spiritual life. So it's like a swimming pool. You see, when you are going for swimming, you are running. You run, and then there is a springboard. And then there is a swimming pool. Now just imagine if you are running in the swimming, and then you are on the springboard and you keep on jumping on springboard only. But one doesn't at all enter into water. And then it will be very funny sight, right? He's saying, oh, what are you doing, sir? I am swimming. I am trying to swim. But then what are you doing? I am just jumping on the springboard. So that springboard is like goodness. This person remains on that only, or piety only, but if he doesn't take to spirituality, then his piety will keep him in material world only. That's why when we become devotee, we have to have that. It is very subtle difference. A non-devotee can never understand difference between piety and spirituality. But when we become devotee, as we grow, as we practice more and more, we have to learn the difference between piety and spirituality. And then, if they are at odds with each other, we have to accept spirituality. So anyways, the factor which a person is elevated to devotional service, pure devotional service, that is association of pure devotees. So when a pious soul, he turns to Krishna out of distress, he is known as Artha. Artha means he is in distress. But not every person in distress comes to Krishna. Only the pious soul who is in distress, he comes to Krishna. So what such person wants? Such person wants relief from sickness or calamity or other material miseries, So he says, Bhagwan, ye de do, wo de do. I don't have this, I don't have that. At least this person is much better than two levels of people. What are other if somebody is in distress, what people do? Can you give some things which people do when they are in distress?
Smoking, drinking.
They take to intoxication. Okay, yeah. That is one thing they do. That they sometimes take to intoxication. What else they do?
They may harm themselves by committing suicide or like that.
Okay, yeah. They may commit suicide also. Anything else?
They deny the existence of God.
They sometimes deny the existence of God also. What else?
Prabhuji, few will approach few demigods to get their out of from the system,
They will approach to demigods. Correct.
and they will
They will
also
approach
approach
to
to
demigods.
few priest or somebody outside who is not so properly situated a priest, but they will do some havan, some puja to get out of those distress and something like that. They
Yeah,
immediately
demigods or semi-gods.
yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
They are semi-gods, some are demigods, some are semi-gods. People will approach either of them. Correct. One more approach people take up.
First thing they try to solve by themselves.
They will try to solve the problem by themselves. They will work very hard and they will try to solve the problem by themselves. Correct. So now you see these are various things. So among them, the lowest person is the one who is in total mode of ignorance, and he will commit suicide. Or he will blame God, or he will take to intoxication. These are all very low grade people. So they are covered by mode of ignorance. But then a person who is in mode of passion, when he comes to approaches, he becomes distressed. Then what he does? So these people in mode of ignorance, when they are distressed, they do these things. Either they take to intoxication, or they may commit suicide, or they may blame God, they may criticize others, they may become angry on others, they may become this thing. So that is mode of ignorance. They will try to harm others. So this is mode of ignorance. Or mode of passion means what they will do. Either they will try to solve the problem on their own efforts, or they will approach some demigods. That is mode of passion. But person in mode of goodness, he will try to approach Supreme Lord. He approaches Supreme Lord. So that's why a person who is approaching Supreme Lord is far better than others. You see that Krishna in next verse is calling them as Udaras. They are magnanimous, like that. So such a person, he desires relief from sickness, calamity, or other material miseries, and that's why that is serves as his impetus to approach Krishna. That is his impetus to approach Krishna. Any example in Shastras or anywhere of such person who was Artha?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj was not in Artha category exactly. Yeah, somewhat Artha maybe. He was paid, but he will come in some other category. Any personality who was in distress and he approached Lord?
Prabhuji, that pastime of Purushottam Mas that Devi she approached Lord in distress only.
Yeah, okay, yes. Correct. Yeah, there are many such examples. One most famous example in Bhagavatam is Gajendra. Right? Gajendra approached Lord in distress. Correct? So, then, now next category is a Jidnyasu. Jidnyasu means who is curious. Who is inquisitive. He approaches Krishna out of inquisitiveness to understand. He wants to understand what is soul, or he is thinking, what these Hare Krishnas are saying, what is this Krishna consciousness? Let me see what is there going on. Looks like a strange, or what is these people are jumping like they're jumping in the street, what are they doing? Or what type of different dress they wear? They are wearing bed sheets or putting some clay marks on their forehead, and they have a different type of hairstyle also sometimes, isn't it? So like that, people become curious to know what's going on over there. So, an example in the scriptures. Of Jidnyasu, curious people.
can we say about Narad Muni, because he was
Narad Muni was not exactly very curious, Narada boy. Actually, Narada boy is more or less Kripa Siddha. He was not approaching by himself the great souls or Krishna. As such, he did not approach Krishna on his own.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Okay, Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah. Parikshit Maharaj was curious. Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj is also example. Only thing, he was already Mahabharata Vaishnava. So, yeah, but he asked a lot of questions. Correct. The Shaunaka Rishis are the example for Jigyasus. They were very curious. That's why they asked so many questions to Sutta Goswami. Shaunaka Rishi. Those 80,000 sages who were sitting in Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. They are examples of Jigyasu. Then Artharthi, he wants to enjoy land, money, sons or wife in this life and next. So that is Artharthi. He wants to enjoy material facilities. Sukha sampati ghar aave kasht mite tan ka Om Jai Jagadish Hare. These are Artharthi. So they are approaching Lord only. Jagadish Hare means Krishna only they are approaching. But for Sukha sampati ghar aave, like that. So again, such a person is generally either somebody needs some material welfare, either he may do it in ignorance. If he is in mode of ignorance, he will do it by robbing, looting others, like Ajamila did. Or in passion, he will work very hard and he will try to earn wealth on his own efforts. And he say, हमने खुद के बलबूते के ऊपर ये सब प्राप्त किया है. मेरे दादाजी, मेरे पिताजी देखो क्या थे, कितने गरीब थे. आई पाई इकट्ठा करके मेहनत करके उन्होंने पैसा कमाया है. That is mode of passion. But then, or sometimes the people may go to demigods. Yeah, what is that? Dhanasi labate. What is that? Putrasi labate. Putram vidyarthi labate. Vidya something. Ganpati Stotra, it is there, no? Yeah. So we'll see. That you want something, some wealth, so people will go to demigods. Like that. So generally most of the people go to demigods. This type of people are maximum. People go to demigods and they'll ask, oh Maruti, give me Maruti. They'll go to Saturday to Maruti. Oh Maruti, give me Maruti car. Oh Mary, marry me one Mary. They will say like that. So they will go to different demigods. Or some people will very devotedly व्रत लेते हैं कुछ लोग, कौन से अलग अलग व्रत लेते हैं, गुरुवार व्रत और साई बाबा व्रत और isn't it, सोमवार व्रत, श्रावण सोमवार व्रत. People, so these are all, trying to earn some material prosperity by approaching demigods. So this is more or less passion or mixture of passion or goodness. Majorly passion. Then, but the Artharthi, one who wants some material benefits, who wants to enjoy land, money, or children, family in this life or next life, such a person, if he approaches Krishna instead of demigod to supply his need, that person is also called as Sukrutina. Means the person who approaches demigods for the material benefits is also not in Sukrutina category. But if he approaches Krishna for Sukrutina, for some material welfare, that is also Sukrutina. He is one of these four categories, Artharthi, Sukrutina, Artharthi. So any example for this?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Now Dhruva Maharaj is example over here, right? He is an example for Artharthi. He wanted the kingdom greater than the kingdom of his great grandfather. Who is Dhruva Maharaj's father?
Uttanpa.
Who is father of Uttanapad?
Manu.
Huh?
Manu.
Swayambhuva Manu, correct. Who is father of Manu?
Brahmaji.
Brahmaji. So this Dhruva Maharaj wanted kingdom greater than Brahmaji. What is kingdom of Brahmaji?
The entire one universe.
No.
Brahmanda.
Correct. Entire Brahmanda is his kingdom, right? Entire universe is his kingdom. And Dhruva Maharaj wanted kingdom better than universe. Means अभी क्या देंगे हम उनको? Universe से बड़ा kingdom चाहिए बोल रहे. But Lord is so merciful. He gave him kingdom. Dhruva Loka is bigger than universe, but it is within this universe. How is it possible that you ask him only? You go and see and take. That is called as Nakaprushtam. Nakaprushtam is Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Loka is a spiritual abode within this universe, but it is bigger than the universe. So how is it possible that you ask Brahmaji or anybody, Dhruva Maharaj, like that? So this is Artharthi. So Dhruva Maharaj did not go to any demigods. He went to Krishna only. So among so many people go to want material benefits, those who go for material benefits to Krishna are certainly much more superior. And then all above all these categories are Sakama devotees. So Sakama devotees means those who want some material benefits from Krishna. Then more specifically they are Karma Mishra Bhakta, because they go to Krishna to fulfill their fruitive desires. So these are Sakama devotees, you can say. The fourth category is Jnani. Jnani is technically referred to as Dhyana Mishra Bhakta or Yoga Mishra Bhakta. Fourth. Artho Jidnyasu Arthati Jnani. Jnani is a Dhyana Mishra or Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So he approaches Krishna not to have any material desires fulfilled, but to gain knowledge, thus get liberation. He approaches Krishna for that. So that's why he is also on Nishkama platform, because he doesn't want anything material, but he wants spiritual benefits. He wants knowledge, he wants liberation, he wants to go out of this world. So that is Nishkama platform only. So he is a Jnani person. Any examples? Who were Jnanis before?
4 Kumaras.
4 Kumaras, correct. They were Jnani type people. Or even Shukadeva Goswami, he was also Jnani before becoming devotees. They were in Jnani category. They were very, very much eager to know God. He's searching for God. They were searching for God. Who is supreme? What is absolute truth? They are very eager to know that. So that's why they wanted the knowledge. So Srila Baldev Devotion, he comments that Jidnyasu is mentioned between Artha and Artharthi. Artho Jidnyasu Artharthi. Because these both, Artha and Artharthi, those who are in distress and those who are wanting some material benefit, will naturally progress to Jidnyasu category as they advance in Krishna consciousness. But if they do not, then they will likely to give up their interest in Krishna service. Means what? If somebody's desire, suppose he goes out of distress to Krishna, but then while he is dealing with his distress and praying to Krishna to relieve him from distress, if he doesn't become inquirer about, he doesn't become curious about what Krishna is and how he is, what are his qualities, what is my relationship with him, if he doesn't become inquirer about that, then what will happen is, if his distress goes away, he will give up Krishna consciousness. And similarly, the person who is Artharthi. If an Artharthi person, he wants some material benefits. So when if he becomes inquisitive about Krishna, mostly he will become. These people are very nice, like that fellow who went to Sanatana Goswami for Paras Mani. He became inquisitive. He got Paras Mani from Sanatana Goswami. But then he became inquisitive. अरे इन्होंने इसको फेंक क्यों दिया garbage dump में? He became little inquisitive. But if one does not become inquisitive, then what will happen? When one's material ambitions are fulfilled, then he will give up devotional service. Like that. He will say, oh, now no need. Now हो गया, अभी अपना काम खत्म हो गया, डिस्ट्रेस चला गया या मटेरियल जो भी इच्छा था वो पूरा हो गया, तो छोड़ दो. He'll give up Krishna. So that's the way things are. So in the purport, Prabhupada is telling, what is the definition of Sukruti? 4 definitions Prabhupada is giving of Sukruti. Who are Sukrutinas? 4 type of definitions. One is pious people, number 1. Second one is those who are adherent of regulative principles of scriptures, means those who follow the regulative principles given in scriptures, like various Vedas and Puranas, Upanishads, Manu Samhita, etc. Third ones are those who follow moral and social laws. So these are also Sukrutinas. Those who follow moral and social laws. And fourth definition is more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. So those who are believing in God, they are theists, not atheists. They are theists. So these are the 4 definitions of Sukrutinas. First one was pious. Second one was adherent of regulative principles of scripture. Third one are those who are moral and social laws. And fourth one who are more or less devoted to Supreme Lord. Like that. Now these 4 categories of Sukrutinas are what? Arthaha, those who are distressed, Artharthi, wealth seeker, Jidnyasu, inquisitive, and Jnani, one who desires knowledge of absolute truth. So, but they are not pure devotees. Why they are not pure devotees? Because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. अहेतुकी भक्ति नहीं है. भक्ति करते करते कुछ तो चाहिए रिटर्न में. That's why they are not called as pure devotees. They are Sukrutina, they are pious, they are good souls, but they are not pure devotees yet, because they have that desire for getting something in return from devotional service. But what is pure devotional service? 2 aspects. Prabhupada is mentioning purport. Render the devotional service favorably. They are favorable to Krishna. So they want to serve Krishna. That is pure devotional service. Intentionally trying to serve Krishna. That is pure devotional service. And then second aspect is without desire for material profit or gain through futile activities or philosophical speculations. Means same. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anahavatam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. That is pure devotional service. When a person, he wants to serve Krishna intentionally, not accidentally. Like Putana happened to serve Krishna accidentally, milk. He gave milk to Krishna accidentally. Her intention was not to give milk to Krishna. So that's why she cannot be categorized into pure devotional service. Although apparently she gave milk to Krishna, but still. And she got liberated also, but still she is not considered in that category. So one should be intending to serve Krishna. That is called as favorable service to Krishna. And second is, there should not be any desire for any exchange of material profits, from Krishna. Not that, Krishna, I am serving you so much, now you should give me good marks, or you give me good job, give me good wife, give me good family, give me big bungalow, or give me give me this, give me that, give me. Not that way. Serving Krishna just to serve Krishna and just to please it. That is pure devotional service. So when Prahlad Maharaj was asked by Narsimhadev, what do you want? You tolerated so much for me. What do you want? And Prahlad Maharaj said, I am not a businessman. I am not Vanik, merchant who wants something in exchange of my devotional service. He says, I am constitutionally your servant. So I just want to serve you and nothing else I want. Your service is the only thing I want. And Narsimhadev himself was little taken aback. That generally people worship him to get something. But then Prahlad Maharaj said, no, I don't want anything from you. So what is the destiny of such Sukrutinas? They may follow devotional service for above 4 reasons. And in due course, when they associate with pure devotees, they will become purified themselves. And in this way, they will achieve pure devotional service. So the Sukrutinas have very great chance of becoming pure devotees, because they are likely to favorably accept association of pure devotees. So at what stage, but when they actually become pure devotees, when they are free from all material desires, when they understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement. So, like in the beginning, some person may come to Krishna consciousness. One devotee was telling that why he came to voice. He was telling that because voice people were speaking English in good English, so he wanted to learn English. So for that he came. And most of us came, I don't know how many of you came just to search for God to voice. Many of us did not come for that. Many of us come because, we wanted relief from materialistic association who were troubling us, or we were very much distressed because of various situations, or we were little inquisitive like that, or we wanted something, maybe nice food. मेस का फूड बहुत खराब है, चलो वॉइस में थोड़ा अच्छा मिलता है खाने के लिए. Or maybe I'll get some good habits, So all these ulterior motives were there. So person may come like that, but then eventually he starts liking devotional service also. He says, oh, yes, I can learn English also, but what they are telling in English is also makes sense. They are speaking good English, but in good English they are speaking that you are not this body, you are soul. They are very logically speaking. They are telling how they are proving the existence of God, in English, or they are proving the greatness of Supreme Lord and our relationship with Him. Everything seems to be so logical, and then they become interested in Krishna consciousness, and then they associate with devotees more and more. And when they associate with devotees, they eventually understand, all these material things are not the ultimate goal of life. They are just temporary benedictions. They are only temporary things. But the real substance and the real goal of human life is to attain spiritual emancipation. So in this way, person's aspiration transforms into material to spiritual. And in this way, he becomes a fixed up devotee, and then he becomes fixed up in devotional service. And then eventually, by practicing Krishna consciousness, he becomes pure devotee of the Lord. So that's how that stage people become pure devotees. So eventually, because people can understand that these material desires have simply given me trouble in my life and nothing more than that, in that stage they become pure devotees. But then, what about miscreants? Prabhupada is writing about them also in purport. So what is the hope for miscreants to devotional service? So generally for miscreants, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, without any spiritual goals. They won't like to be with devotees. They always say, no, we have no time. No, we are not interested. I get lost from here. Like that. So for them, devotional service is very difficult, those who are miscreants. But is there any hope, any time for them? The only hope is that if they come in contact with a pure devotee, they may also become pure devotees. A miscreant can also become. The only hope is that somehow they come in contact with devotees. Yadruchaya. By some chance, they may come in contact. Then they become pure devotees also. Like Mrugari. He came in contact with Narad Muni. He was a miscreant only, right? But he came in contact with Narad Muni and he became a pure devotee eventually. Or that prostitute who came to meet Haridas Thakur. She was a miscreant. She had come due to some ulterior evil motivations. But somehow she contacted Haridas Thakur and then she became pure devotee. But the same Ramchandra Khan who sent that prostitute, he did not become devotee because he was another miscreant. But somehow he did not come in contact with Haridas Thakur. He did not even try to approach Haridas Thakur also. So that's why, he could not be converted into pure devotee. But prostitute, somehow she approached Haridas Thakur, although with evil intentions. But still, because of association of Haridas Thakur, she became also into pure devotee. So So the only hope for miscreants to become devotees, generally it is very difficult for them to take up devotional service. And the only hope is that somehow they come in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord. Like that. So one of the very senior congregation devotees in our temple, he was anti-Krishna consciousness. Now he is one of very senior devotees, but he was very very against Krishna consciousness. But his wife had become full 16 rounder devotee. wife was, chanting 16 rounds and all that. And this Prabhuji, somehow he allowed his wife to practice. But although he himself was quite averse, he didn't want to take up devotional service. But he allowed wife. Okay, you want to do, you do, but I don't like all these things, he was saying. And wife said, okay. So that was the first thing, that because he allowed his wife to do, so that was the first dose of mercy for him. His Sukruti increased from, so he started becoming Sukruti now. Then his wife was telling, okay, you don't chant, you don't attend. So he would drop the wife, in our Kunja Bihari temple, and he would just go away. He would never enter temple also. He did not want to come to temple also. And she would do services, she would attend programs, and that's it. And he would pick her up, and that's it. Nothing more than that he was doing. So then one day the wife said, Bhakti Rasamrut Maharaj was coming to Pune that time. So then wife said, okay, can you please receive him? There is nobody else. He's coming, he's a very big person for me. Can you please receive him? And then he agreed somehow. And then when he came in contact with Bhakti Rasamrut Maharaj, my God, his heart had such a transformation. Within 2-3 days of association, 3-4 days of association with Bhakti Rasamrut Maharaj, he was so much transformed. Now he is one of the most leading congregation devotee in our Pune congregation, one of the biggest leaders. So we see that, because of association, although the person was averse, but because of, association with great souls, his heart was transformed. Yeah. So, okay, Sushmita was saying Bhrugumini and other sages, they were in which category, Sushmita? I forgot to see time though.
In the category of inquisitive.
They were inquisitive. We can say they were in Jnani category because they are actually wanting to know absolute truth. So they are Jnanis only.
Prabhuji, what is the difference between inquisitive and Jnani? Can you elaborate once here?
Inquisitive Jigyasu are those who are just, wanting to know, ye log kya kar rahe kaise. They are not specifically searching for absolute truth. They are just curious to know, ye log kya karte. Whereas those who are Jnanis, they want to understand God. They are actually searching for absolute truth. That's the difference between these two. So, some people will come to you and they may say, आप लोग किनके भक्त हैं? कृष्णा के. अच्छा. आपका धाम कौन सा है? मुख्य धाम? ओके, वृंदावन धाम, मायापुर धाम. अच्छा. और आप लोग अभी इधर ट्रेन से किधर जा रहे हैं? अच्छा, कितने लोग जा रहे हैं? You see, this is inquisitiveness. But somebody comes and asks you, hey, you people are saying all the time Krishna. Why you say only Krishna? Why not Shiva? And what is this Krishna? Is Krishna God? He is a Jnani fellow. He is specifically interested in knowing absolute truth. He is not just making a general inquiry. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so please go to the next verse. Next verse is describing who is the best of these 4 pious people now. So the 4 pious people are there, Sukrutinas. Who is the best of them? So next verse is speaking about that. Yeah. Please recite.
You mentioned my name, bro? Maybe Rohit Pro, you can do, because I think he's not. Okay. Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta.
Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta.
Eka bhaktir vishishyate
एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते
priyo hi jnanino atyahartam tyartam
प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम्
aham sacha mama priya.
अहं स च मम प्रिय.
Of 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 this, the one who is full in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. Purport. Free from all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body. And when further advanced he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So, by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the best time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so protected in devotional service that material contamination cannot touch him.
Yeah. So Krishna, he is telling now here that who is the best among these four? Hmm? Krishna is telling Jnani is the best of the four Sukritinam. So, why Jnani is the best? Because Jnani is free from material desires. That's why he is the best. The other three types of pious souls are also great because they turn to Krishna. After all, they are coming to Krishna, so they are also great. But often they leave Krishna's service when their distress is elevated or their material desires are fulfilled, just like we discussed just before. Okay, उनका purpose अच्छा हुआ तो sometimes they may leave Krishna consciousness. But a Jnani's devotional service is steady because what? Why? Because he wants to practice Krishna consciousness for the sake of practicing Krishna consciousness, not just for getting something or for getting relief. He is practicing Krishna consciousness because he understands I am spirit soul, I am Krishna's servant. I want to, become free from the cycle of birth and death. With that intention, he is practicing Krishna consciousness. So that's why he is called as Eka Bhakti. He is interested only in devotional service. He is not interested in just becoming some peaceful or get rid of troubles of this world or, become prosperous in this world or become good person, in front of eyes of the world or become famous person. That are not his interest. He is interested in or get some emotional support, from others. That is not his interest. His interest is that he wants to practice devotional service for the sake of understanding, with a proper understanding that this is the goal of life. This is the real knowledge. So that's why Jnani is best. So it is clear that Krishna has used the term Jnani to refer one who has abandoned his pursuit of Jnana and has turned into Bhakti. So he's not just Jnani now, he's trying to be Bhakta, that person, basically, like four Kumaras. So such Jnani loves Krishna because Krishna is saying, I am very dear to him. That means what? He is not no more just a mental speculator now. He is trying to be a devotee. So such Jnani loves Krishna and Krishna also loves him. So here Krishna is not referring to a person who practices bhakti to obtain knowledge. So Krishna is not referring now. That person now who has already become now favorable towards Krishna, such a Jnani, Krishna is referring here. So Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he comments that this type of Jnani that is a devotee who is in knowledge, who desires only Krishna's service, is so dear to Krishna that Lord is not satisfied just to characterize as him as the best, but he also adds that he is very dear to me. Lord is not just happy saying, "Oh, ye चार लोगों में अच्छे हैं. Best amongst these four is this one." Not like that. Lord wants to also tell that he is very dear to me. He is adding one more qualification. Because he has become interested purely in Krishna, Krishna's service, Krishna's abode, Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna's shelter, Krishna's Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. He has become interested into that. So such type of gyan is very dear to Krishna. He's telling. So, so the theme in this verse is that why the gyan is best. Why the gyan is best? Because he is in full knowledge of absolute truth and he is free from material desires. He engages in pure devotional service and Lord is very dear to him and he is dear to the Lord. And when one is in pure knowledge of transcendence of Supreme Lord, the material contamination cannot touch him. Means he is aloof. He is Maya proof. He is aloof from material contamination. He never gets contaminated by material life. So that's why Krishna is telling that Gyan is the best. Now, after hearing this verse, one may conclude that these three Karma Vishnu Bhaktas are insignificant and only Gyan is important. All others are useless or insignificant. So one may say like this. So Krishna knows that people have a tendency of going to extremes. तो पहले बोले नहीं ये चारों लोग अच्छे, अभी बोल दिया नहीं ज्ञानी इनमें से अच्छे, तो ये तीन लोग बाकी के ऐसी है, ये टाइम पास है. No, so Krishna knows that we may say like this. That's why Krishna is speaking the 18th verse now. So more or less in purport, Prabhupada is speaking these things only. Basically Jnani understands that he's different from material body, and then he comes to knowledge of impersonal Brahman and then Paramatma, and then when he is fully purified, he realizes that he is Krishna's eternal servant, and in this way, so this is the preparatory stage Prabhupada for becoming a pure devotee. What is that? The man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to Lord. So who knows who is Supreme Lord, who has a pure knowledge of Lord, and at the same time he is engaged in devotional service. So that's why we are studying this Bhagavad Gita. Because we have to know about who is God. Because unless until we know what is Lord, we cannot love him. And we cannot engage in devotional service in full heart through him. That's why we want to read this Bhagavad Gita. So one who has a knowledge, and with that knowledge he is engaging in devotional service, such a person is very dear to Lord. That is what is called as Jnani. Okay, so let us go to verse number 18. Please recite.
Hare Krishna Guruji. Udhara sarva evate
Udhara sarva evaite
Jnani tva atmeva me matam
Jnani tvatmaiva me matam
Astita sahi yuktama
Astita sahi yuktatma
mam eva nuttamam gatim.
Ma eva tamam gatim.
All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and the most perfect goal. But it is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit. And when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotees and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord says, Sadhva hridam mahayam sadhu nam hridayam tva aham mad anyate na janati naham tebhyo manang api. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the heart of devotees. The devotees does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me.
Yeah. So in this verse, Krishna is telling all of them are magnanimous, udara, in giving me love. Because they are at least coming to me, so all of them are magnanimous. But Jnani, who is in knowledge of me, Krishna is saying, he is exceedingly dear to me. Jnani tva atmaiva me matam. Jnani is exceedingly dear to me, Krishna is saying. So, although Jnani is special, the other three are also objects of Krishna's affection because they have come to Krishna. Even if to have their desires satisfied, whatever may be the cause, because they have come to Krishna, so Krishna loves them. Whoever comes to Krishna, Krishna loves them. That is Krishna's policy. Whoever goes, of course, Krishna loves everyone, but Krishna specifically loves those who approach him, or whatever it may be. But Krishna becomes, Krishna loves him. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a very nice dialogue. So a devotee may ask, then, oh Lord, these three kinds of worshippers begin with the distress. Are they not dear to you, Lord? Artho, Arthasi, Digdya, so they are not dear. You are telling only Gyan is dear. Like that. Like sometimes, suppose a preacher says, oh, this particular devotee from this batch is very dear to me. Suppose a batch में 4 devotees hai. He says, oh, he is very dear to me. One may say, oh, what about others? They are not dear to you? So, but it is not always 1 or 0. Right? One person is dear doesn't mean other are not dear, right? So that's a wrong understanding. That's not proper logic. In 10th standard, we still have logic. One chapter is mathematics of logic. So one is true doesn't mean others are false, right? Others also may be true, right? So that's why Krishna answers. In the verse beginning with Udara. Krishna says, no, that's not the case at all. Krishna says, those who worship me, taking something they want from me, which I am prepared to give them anyways, are also very dear to me, Krishna. So they want something from me. Anyways, I am prepared to give them. So they are also dear. They are giving so much to satisfy me, and I am very affectionate to my devotees. Krishna is telling. Because they are anyways coming to me. They may want something from me. That's all right. But they are coming to me. They are approaching me. So they are very dear to me. Krishna is telling. So, anyways, I am going to give them. That's Krishna is telling. So, but Jnani, however, is like my own self. Jnani is like, myself only. I treat him as myself. Not different than myself. So, while worshipping me, he does not hanker for any benefit, neither attainment of heaven, nor liberation, nor anything else. Therefore, in my opinion, such Jnani is my very self, and I become subordinate to him. Krishna says. So, implied idea is that Lord is telling, I accept Jnani as my very self because he has concluded that I, in the form of Shyam Sundar, am the supreme goal and not the dissolution in the formless identity of Brahman. So in this way, Jnani, by possessing bhakti that predominates over the other tendencies and is devoid of ulterior motives, comes to be considered as the comes to be considered by Bhakta Supreme Lord as his own self. So for Jnani, Lord considers Jnani to be his own self, and others are very dear to him. You understand? So Jnani is more intimate, but others are also Lord likes. He loves them. But the devotee whose devotion is completely pure has no other desires at all. The Lord considers him even greater than his own self. In Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 15, Krishna is telling, my dear Uddhav, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self is as dear to me as you are. So Lord is Atmaram, self-satisfied. Still he is inclined to enjoy with the gopis, which indicates that he considers gopis even more dear to him than his own self. Shukadeva Goswami says like that. So although he is fully satisfied, if for the person meditates duty asana, if not is fully satisfied, then he might want to enjoy. He wants to enjoy because they want him, Krishna. So that's why he considers gopis even more dear than his own self. So in 10th canto, chapter 29, verse number 42, Shukadeva Goswami says that, smiling upon hearing the despondent words from the gopis, Lord Krishna, the supreme master of all masters of mystic yoga, mercifully enjoyed with them, although he is self-satisfied. So that is the Ras Leela which happened today, Sharadiya Ras. So we did not intend to discuss on Ras Leela, but by Krishna's divine arrangement, the discussion has come. When the gopis, Krishna went away, when the gopis approached Krishna, they all ran to Krishna in the forest, So they were doing a lot of household chores, and some were tending to their babies, some were serving their parents or in-laws or husbands, some were decorating themselves, some were cooking, different things they were doing. But as soon as they heard Krishna's flute, whatever they were doing, they just dropped it. And they just ran to Krishna, hearing his flute. So Krishna plays his, special note. Every note Krishna plays is for different. One note is only for cows, another note is for general bourgeoisie. And especially, fifth note is for gopis. And eighth note is only for Radharani, like that. So fifth note Krishna played, and then gopis ran to Krishna. And when they assembled near Krishna, Krishna was there, they saw Krishna in the forest, bending in threefold form. So then, they were very happy to see Krishna. And then Krishna came and smiled and he said, oh, gopis, welcome, all of you. You are most welcome. You all came here. Thank you very much for coming. Anyways, you wanted to see me, it seems, you thought that I am playing flute. You wanted to hear my flute and you wanted to see me. So anyways, now your flute, your desire will be satisfied that you have heard my flute and you have seen me. Now you can go back. Better go back. What is this? You are coming in the dead of the night. One should not do like this. Better you should go back, It's not good. What your family members will think. What will, society will think about you. And you have so many duties to do and this, that. And Krishna was speaking this way. And gopis, they were scratching the ground with their toenails, You see, some person is very heavy in heart. He scratches the ground with his toenails. And hot tears were, coming from their eyes, They were hot tears, Hot, cold tears are the tears of happiness, joy. Hot tears are the tears of distress. So when Krishna was saying them like this, that you go back, their heart was pierced and they said, what is this? Then they started speaking, what is this, Krishna? We have left everything. Ami tyagi kula raj, bhajo brajaraj. So leela rasera tare. Telling Krishna, we have left everything. We ran. We gave up all our, engagements. We gave up all our name, fame, shame. Every relationship we had given up, and now you are telling us to go back. What kind of God you are? They rebuked Krishna. And then Krishna understood their heart, and then he agreed to rasa dance with them. So this whole pastime happened in today's auspicious day of Sharadiya Ras Purnima. So here we see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving three levels, So what is Krishna's reciprocation to those who are Artha Arthati Jidnesu, means those who go to Krishna out of inquisitiveness or out of mitigating their distress or for getting some material benefits. What is Krishna's attitude towards them? What is Krishna's attitude towards them?
He considers them to be just like his own self.
To Artha and Sindhyasu?
He is affectionate to them. Lord is affectionate.
He is very affectionate to them. He loves them a lot. Okay. Then for a Jnani, what Krishna considers? Jnani to be?
Like himself.
Krishna considers Jnani to be like himself. He considers Jnani to be his own self. What about pure devotee?
More than him, like.
Correct. Pratik Pro has captured exactly everything very correctly. So for a pure devotee, Krishna considers pure devotee to be more than him also. So pure devotees are more dear to Krishna than his own self. Jnani is dear to him as good as himself. Person who is practicing devotional service in full knowledge of Krishna. So that is person whom Krishna considering to be as good as himself. But what about those who are unalloyed pure devotees of the Lord? They are more than Krishna also. Krishna loves them more than himself also. Like that. So these are the three reciprocations. So there is, means, even anybody who approaches Krishna is dear to Krishna, but one who approaches Krishna with knowledge and engages in devotional service of Krishna, Krishna considers him to be as good as himself. Diksha kale shishya kare atma samarpan, sahi kale Krishna kare tare atma samarpan. At the time of Diksha initiation, the devotee surrenders unto Krishna, and that time Krishna, he considers that devotee to be as good as himself. So this is that category. And then there is next one is, but somebody who becomes a pure devotee, Krishna says is better than me. Like that. So the theme of this whole thing is that wise is the best, but all are Mahatmas or magnanimous, all others also. Because all of them come to Lord for the fulfillment of some desire. So all of them are great, I think. All are magnanimous because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called as Mahatma or great soul. So that's why anybody who you see approaching Krishna, that means he is a great soul, in a favorable manner, of course. So even though some devotees may be wanting some benefit out of devotional service, they are also accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. See, just like the child is there, he asks from father, does the father become irritated? No, that's the exchange of affection. Father loves that child, right? Or he may be asking, father doesn't say, hey, get rid of me. Hey, हमेशा मांगते रहो तुम्हें चाहिए. No, father feels great joy in fulfilling the desire of his child, right? So, like child may say, Papa, give me this toy. Papa, give me that chocolate. Papa, give me that biscuit. Papa, I want to ride with you. And he is always asking different things. But still, father loves them a lot. Why? Because that's the exchange of affection. Because at least there is person. They are personally dealing. The child is dealing. But if some person comes to that same father and he says that, oh, I don't agree for your existence. I don't care for you. He neglects him totally. But the father will not be so affectionate to that person. But a child, although he may be demanding certain things, father very affectionately fulfills those demands. And but anybody who serves father is considered to be very glorious. Not only just he is demanding from father now he has become mature enough to partake in the business of father. That person is very special. Same way, even though some devotees are wanting me some benefit, still they are also accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. But some devotee who is in full knowledge is very dear to the Lord because his purpose is to serve the Lord with love and devotion. That is his purpose, to serve the Lord with love and devotion. He cannot leave a second without serving the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord is very fond of such devotee and cannot be separated from him. So he is very intimately united with the Lord. So Prabhupada gives this verse, Sadhava Hridayam Maya, Sadhuna Hridayam Taham, Adanyatena Jananti, Naham Tebhyo Manabhati. Anybody knows in what context this verse was spoken by whom? Mostly this is spoken by Krishna, right? That is clear. No, in what context this verse was spoken? Who knows? Don't get into database and try to search. No, not that way I want to. That is what you can do. If you know, you tell.
Rukmini Devi and Krishna talking.
Ninth canto में कहाँ आ गए रुक्मिणी and Krishna?
Oh, ninth. Sorry. Lord Ramchandra.
Is it something related to Ramayana?
No.
I don't know.
No. Ramayana is in later part of ninth canto. This is earlier part. Krishna is telling, hey, devotees are in my heart, and I am always in heart of devotees. I don't know anybody carry like you. I don't care for such ascetics like you who may offend my devotees. I don't care. I don't know anybody except for my devotee. And devotees also don't know anybody except for me. So आपके जैसे ascetics जो devotees को offend करते, I don't care for them. Now you can tell.
Amrish Maharaj.
Hey, I give such a exactly. Ambarish Maharaj, With Durvasa Muni, he was running and he approached Lord Vishnu for protection from Sudarshan after offending Ambarish Maharaj. That time, Lord Vishnu is quoting this verse. He is saying, hey, my devotees are better than me. they are not different than myself. What I can give protection, I also cannot protect you. And Durvasa is telling him, hey, you are Supreme Lord. This is your weapon only. Say nothing. I also have no power. Only way you can be excused is if you fall at the feet of Ambarish. So that time he is telling. So this verse, Lord Narayan is telling to Durvasa. So the conclusion of this 17th and 18th verses is the intimate relationship with Krishna and his pure devotees. Krishna says that the devotees are always in my heart and I am always in their heart. And devotees does not know anything but me, and I cannot forget the devotee also. That's the affection and love of Krishna. That's why Krishna is called as abode of love, ocean of love. He's so much loving for his devotees. Bhakta Vatsal, Krishna is. So Krishna's weak point, if you want to know what is Krishna's weak point are devotees. That is his weak point. Anyway, let's stop here for today. Tomorrow the very important verse is coming, 19th verse. And then this 4th section will get over. And then we'll start with 5th section tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guru.
Thank you. Thank you.